So, if you're using AI like a tool, asking it questions, getting answers, maybe saving time, but it still feels a little clunky, shallow, or disconnected, this episode is for you. Most people are using AI instead of themselves when the real power comes from using AI with yourself. By the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly how to turn AI into a personal collaborator, one that helps you think clearer, decide faster, learn deeper, and amplify what makes you human. Today, I'm joined by DiDanto, president of eSource AI University and co-founder and chairman of the AI Learning Alliance. So Joe is a lifelong educator and entrepreneur, pioneering how AI can work with human intelligence, from AI tutors and wellness agents to digital legacy systems that preserve personal wisdom for future generations. So, in this episode, we're going to solve one clear problem: how to leverage AI as your personal collaborator, not a replacement, so you can think better, work smarter, and stay deeply connected to what makes you human. And what's even more exciting is today is Joe's birthday, and he's here to have this amazing conversation with us. I'm so excited. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about a lot of stuff today, and hopefully we'll take some of the fears away that people have of using AI and talk about some practical uses of it, like you and
Yeah,
I.
there's
Yeah.
AI is everywhere and people are afraid of it. People think it's going to replace them in their jobs. That people don't know how to use it properly, so they are really against it. And then there's the people that are leveraging it. So there's a lot of craziness going on in the world when it comes to AI right now.
Yeah, it's anytime a new technology comes in, especially one this powerful, it changes a lot of things. You can go back to the ages of the automobile coming in and replacing the whole buggy whip industry. Tens of thousands of people lost their jobs, but as it progressed, it created new jobs. There was gas stations and mechanics and a whole roads were built and a whole bunch of things to accommodate it. And we'll see a little bit of that as we get into the AI. I mean, some jobs will be replaced because they're repetitive and uh, they can be replaced easily by a tool. But most things, if you're if you learn how to use it, the human who knows AI will do a lot better. And hopefully we can talk about some of those things this morning. Maybe I should just start with one quick point so everybody, all AI can do is predict the next word. I don't know if everybody knew that. It's all it can do is predict the next word. It doesn't care if it's English, Spanish, Russian, or computer code. It
Right.
it's taken all of our inputs and it says, okay, this word usually follows this word. So we'll pick it. Where things get kind of iffy is when the creativity level is set to something other than zero. So that's what I teach everybody in the class to do is make it to zero. So just as an example, it's not purely accurate, but if it's predicting the next word and your creativity level is zero, it's got one, maybe two choices for the next word. But when you use ChatGPT, it's set at 50%. All the big language models are set that way. What does that mean? You get 50 words for as the next possible word. So it could pick any one of those and then another 50. You can see how it could go off into Neverland if you can't control that. And the reason why they set it at that level is because a lot of people want to go in and say, I want to create a novel. Can you give me 10 examples of a science fiction novel in the plot? So that's what causes some of the misinformation that comes out of it. And so what we do is teach people how to train and use their own version of ChatGPT, how to do super prompts and things like that.
Mm. So, what do you mean by zero creativity? It's set to zero creativity. What does that mean in plain English?
It's how much freedom AI is given to create an answer. So
Okay.
it's as simple as what I said. When you set it to zero, it's only going to pick hundreds of millions of people have trained it by using it. So it's going to predict the next most popular word that follows. So it's going to stay very true to what you want. And uh, when you just use it on the platforms themselves, they're set higher because it's general use. You don't know if
Oh,
someone, give me 30 ideas of a small business I can create. It'll go do that. And
right.
and it has the freedom to pick the next word. And so
Okay.
yeah, so that's
That makes
basically
sense.
yeah. And then probably the most important thing you can do that before people move on and this is to think about using a persona. So when it goes out to find these words, it has its own persona, what meaning it uses artificial intelligence to find it. So it could be swayed by, the popularity of a website or something like that. But when you tell it, pretend you're an oncologist with a specialty in breast cancer or prostate cancer, whatever it is, and then go out and find information, it narrows what it can look for. So it's going to
Right.
throw out, the clickbait. It's going to throw out all that stuff. And that plus your prompt will bring back some very good information. I've used it for friends who wanted to find clinical trials for specific cancer. I go in and say, pretend you're an oncologist. Would your specialty is this, and you're aware of all the various clinical trials that are in progress. Find the top five and tell us who the contact is there and how we might go about applying. I mean, that's a very practical use in the health space, right? It's going to bring
Yeah.
it all back. Hopefully, it's not that bad that you're searching for that. But I've created my own digital physician when I can't get to my physician in time. And it's talked me through dumb things I've done, like pulling a rotator cuff from my
Yeah.
left shoulder. And it says, okay, you use this cream. It's in the don't. It's not systemic. It's a cream that is like an Aleve, to
Right.
use technical words. And it's my biggest fear is I'd have to go through another surgery there, and they tell you 6 months. It's really 2 years before you recover. And it took it away. I mean, I'm 2 weeks away. I'm going to play golf this Wednesday, and I'm
Wow.
happy. And I went over what I did with the doc, my regular doctor, who's very smart, and he said that's all the right stuff. He says that's very good. And so I said thank you. I didn't want to tell him I used AI to do it, but
Right.
it's just learning how to control the tool that'll make it your life easier as from a personal standpoint and a business standpoint. So
Right. It does feel a little overwhelming at times because there's so much information. So why are so many smart, capable people feeling so overwhelmed by it? And what are some of AI's limitations?
yeah, I think they feel overwhelmed because it's not natural to type so much. So we've moved away from that. And the ones we're creating are conversational. So we're using some advanced features so you can just talk back and forth. And we can illustrate that if you want to with my digital twin, or I can show you a whole mastermind group where they are answering questions for a person. So I think the
Wow.
typing, we've kind of got into text mode. And when you do that, chat doesn't have enough information to do a good job for you. It
Right.
doesn't know the context of things, doesn't know the instructions you want it to follow, the details, and what format you want to see it in. So that's the beauty of being able to just talk to it, and uh, and we can do that if you want to spend the time to do that. I think
Yeah, we should definitely do that by before the end of the show. I would love to meet your
okay.
AI twin. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I want to talk a little bit about some of the limitations and what AI
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do and some of the cautions that people should look out for because I do know people that literally will do anything that the AI tells it and will believe everything it says. And I've also seen my own experience asking for certain um I don't know. I was asking for certain things and it was pulling information from the internet, but some of it wasn't accurate. When I looked deeper into it, it wasn't accurate. So was that a me problem or was that a bigger issue that I'm not aware
No,
of?
it's a prompting issue. So, like I said, we're used to just texting, but in the class, I show people how to put together an advanced prompt. In fact, there's a whole job out there called prompt engineering, and
Right.
it's not an inexpensive job to have in your company. Their salaries are 150 to 200,000 a year, just knowing how
Wow.
to prompt. So, and I found that was the weakness of most of the people that came to our class. So I built a prompt optimizer that will put out like when you do a prompt correctly, it's almost like a specifications sheet for building, you know, anything, a piece of software or whatever you're going to build. So it takes that much detail so that it knows exactly what you want. And that's
Can
the
you give us
weakness.
a simple example of a really good prompt? Like just a simple, I know they can be extremely long, but a simple
Yeah.
formatted one.
Well, I mean, you could go in and say, translate uh, I love you into French, and it will do a good job. You don't need to say you're a linguist, with 20 years experience as a French speaking native and all that. I mean, it's going to do that. And you can ask for what are uh, the top five yoga uh, 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 or massage techniques that I can use. To make that more specific, we'll take the last one. Just say, assume you're a pediatrician or pretend you're a pediatrician with 10 years of experience and you're quite versed in pediatric medical massage. Please identify for me five different massage techniques that I can use to control colic. And I want you to show me a picture of the massage, if available. And then I also want you uh, to give me any remarks that you think I should know to perform this massage. And
Hmm.
when you do that, now you've got the eyes of a very specialized pediatrician watching over what you're doing. And then you're talking about a very specific context, colic. And and I know this can be done because my wife's a physician and she actually knows how to do the colic massage. And just so, and it really works. And I can remember back when one of my children had colic, was taking them for a ride in the car, putting them on a dryer and all that.
Okay.
But now you can get AI to just bring you that information. And it's all about knowing how to talk to it.
Right.
And so that's not the most complicated one that you can create. We can create a course for our consulting team that goes out. There's about 25,000 worldwide, but they can create a course in under 10 minutes on any
Wow.
subject. And and so people say, "Oh my gosh, that's going to replace my job. I'm a course
I was
developer."
just thinking that where are people got to come into this?
But see, here, what changes now is because they can do that, they no longer have to do the one size fits all kind of training where, it doesn't matter what you know or what you don't know, it's going to be the same for everybody in the class. Now they can do a performance assessment using AI, and find out by asking questions what the person's performance gap might be. And say, okay, instead of sitting you in a class for a week, we're just going to tell you about this module one, module 17, and module 14, and that's your customized learning. So they reduce that week to 20 minutes, and then the person
Mm,
goes out there. So the speed of creating the courses allows us to create individual micro learning courses. And
right,
so it changes everything for a business. Nobody loses their job when you do that. In fact, you got more work because you got to replace the one size fits all course with about 160 other courses, all the things
right.
that and but you can do it in 10 minutes now. So it
Mm,
changes, and that's important for a business. You know, if you got salespeople, you don't want them sitting in training for 2 weeks. You want them out, and I mean, $1 million rep it probably averages about 4,000 a work day. And you set them in for 2 weeks, you've lost a lot of dollars. 20 minutes, and they're back out, doing their job. So you've helped the company and you've created one heck of a workload for yourself, but it
right.
just reinvents how education is done. That's what it did. And so
Hmm.
once you understand AI and you see what it can do, you can use it to improve the situation. I mean, the agony of creating a course from scratch is hard, but if you can manage it like you're the conductor of an orchestra, and you can produce a video teaser. You can produce all the slides just by directing it and saying, no, I don't like that one. I don't think that'll work for my demographic. Let's tweak this a little bit. And it does it. It has endless concentration and endless work ethic. So it doesn't say, oh, not again. It's just going to
Right.
do it. And
Hmm.
and that's the beauty of learning it and learning how to use it the right way. And so that's what we do in the class. Go too, I don't go too much into the theory of it, a little just so they know what it's supposed to do, but I give them practical examples. Okay, here's what's your hobby. Let's make an agent, an agentic AI agent that'll make that hobby interesting. And you can't believe what's come out of there. I mean, young people, they want to be able to defeat whatever game they're playing online.
Right.
So they so they come up with this whole agent that tells them how to properly equip their avatar and weaponize it, whatever it is they have to do. And other people, want to create gourmet recipes out of leftovers in a refrigerator, and they
Right.
just
Oh,
they
I've
just
done
can
that.
do them.
I've told
Yeah,
chat, I said, this is what I've got in my fridge. It's like in between grocery shopping days, and I've got all this eclectic mix of weird things. What can I make? And it's given me this beautiful recipe, and I've used that in a pinch many, many times.
yeah.
But Joe, this is something that came up for me when you were talking to me about when you're explaining how you can create a course in 10 minutes and it's so easy, and I know how that can be valuable to a business if you're using AI properly, even for the students that want to beat their video game. But what came up for me was anybody can now pretend that they're an expert in anything if they have all this information at their fingertips. And that's something that's a little concerning to me is people using it and then pretending that they know more than they do. So how do we manage that? Like it's like people with 25 years experience in a field, say a doctor, and suddenly all this information is at the average person's fingertips that don't have that experience. So how do we manage that in our new world?
Yeah, I think we're all still learning how to manage that, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But I think what it is akin to is like when you got a computer and you started learning all these different pieces of software and you were assigned a task and you could solve it with a computer versus the person who doesn't know how to use the computer, they can't solve it. So, if I'm asked in my position, hey, we need a partnership contract for uh, creating digital speakers for XYZ organization. I can go in and because I know how to use AI, I can create the contract. So the way we use it is, okay, this is a first shot at it. Now I
Mm,
need, just like the health thing, I ran it by my physician afterwards. We would
right,
all take that contract and run it by our legal staff and
right.
say, what's missing? What do I need? And they may come back with three or four things, or they may just fix it. But what it probably saved me was about 40 hours of billing time too. So that's again an efficiency that can be created with it. Is it going to
Hmm.
replace lawyers? Probably not, because lawyers have the experience of things that come out of left field that they can protect us against.
Right.
And that's the way to use it in my opinion. But we're still learning. I mean,
Hmm.
imagine we talked about um, a company, a very large retail company that has almost 2 million employees worldwide. Imagine what it would be like if you could talk to the CEO and ask a question, and
Right,
that's very possible. So what does that do? We're now contemplating what does that do to your span of control?
right,
Before we could manage 7 to 10 people, now can we manage even more? And then what happens when a stock picker asks the CEO, we don't have this product, we substitute this, and it goes against what a local manager says. I mean, we don't
right,
know how to deal with those problems yet because they're still evolving. But the capabilities of the system are there. You could create a doctor that you could talk to at midnight, and
right,
say, "Hey, I'm feeling this jaw pain, and I don't know what to do." And it could literally send you to the hospital and arrange for a call that to the actual physician's office to meet you there. I mean, if you know how to do these things, but we have so many laws and
yeah,
HIP and everything. That's probably the last thing that will ever come, and it's probably one of the more important things for us individually is to have that consult, when it's off visiting or off office hours. Something happens at night and you don't know what to do. Is this important or do I go back to bed?
right, right.
So
Yeah,
it's transitioning everything. It's just that powerful. But
it is very powerful.
it also creates a lot of jobs. So, as you know, I live in the Phoenix area here, and we have all kinds of companies coming in. Uh, the town we picked, which was supposed to be a quiet little retirement area, of 60,000 people, just enough grocery stores and things to take care of our needs. They're projecting by the end of this year, it's going to be 480,000 people here.
Wow.
And that's all caused by NVIDIA coming in and Taiwan Semiconductor coming in. Intel's a big supplier here. They come here because there's no weather or earthquake problems. So when you build these centers, they're stable. But that creates jobs here big time. It creates not only the people working there, the plants, who's building them? Who's the plumbers, the electricians? We have to house all those people. So apartments are growing up. So what it's doing is reducing the need of certain types of things. But when you learn AI, you become part of the new rebirth of what the technology will begin. Just like the automobile when it replaced the buggy whip industry. So
Yeah,
the best thing you can do in a week, people become so energized through the thing. They write their own books for the first time with the ghostwriter being AI instead of a real ghostwriter, and they write it in their style. So I think it's all exciting, and I encourage people to learn it, and that's really what I'm devoting my remaining years to do is teach people how to use it correctly and improve their personal life and their business life. Um,
Yeah, I think that's
and
something that's really exciting, and I love how you're viewing this from a limitless angle instead of a limiting angle, because a lot of people are afraid of it, and there's a lot of challenges that are coming up with it, and I think it is a little concerning that anyone can write their own book now. Like it's like, so how do we as individuals who are still humans stand out in the world now? Because I go online and it's like all I see is AI generated content that looks the same. It looks the same because of the way it's the punctuation and the way it's written. And it's like, I know the human, if I know the human in real life, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like this person at all, like you can see the disconnect. And so
yeah,
to me is where some of the limiting stuff comes in, but it also is really exciting that we all have this opportunity to allow ourselves to shine by using a tool that can help us with anything. So
yeah,
I'm kind of on the fence because I feel like when I was going to school, I had to take all that writing out of my brain, and I had to use my own brain in order to create like a book or to write something. But now I can do it by talking to a program.
yeah. And that's one of the first things I took on when I saw the power of this is to build an AI tutor for, and we call it Eddie for all the kids. And what the most important thing for a business that's hiring is your ability to think critically. And
Mhm.
and that means having to go through the process of thinking to know the answer.
Right.
So we don't give answers, we give hints. And it's called scaffolding. And so we remove some of the scaffolding as you get better at solving the problem so we don't make you do things you've already know until all the scaffolding is gone and now it's your thought process that goes. But guess what? The kids resist it. You know why? Because at home they can sign on to ChatGPT and say, give me the answer.
Right.
So what's happened is that scores have gone down in the school, and it's the
Mm.
exact wrong things to do. So the standardized testing scores have dropped. They're getting A
Wow.
pluses in their work, but they don't have the critical thinking skill. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of getting the discipline. So has our tutor gotten all this uh, you know publicity and adoption? No, because other tools are getting the answers. We're always taking the easy way out, but it's the wrong thing to do. What we need is to improve people's ability to think and solve
Yeah.
problems that we don't even know are here yet, you know?
Right.
And that's, how do we solve global warming? How do we solve world peace? What's the thought process behind it? There's not going to be an easy answer there. It's we need to use AI to help us solve these problems, but we need to be able to control it. So in the context that I teach the class, you are always the human in control. You are the conductor, and everything else you create to help you solve these problems are just agents that can help you. So if you've never had the challenge of thinking critically, you're going to produce rubbish, and so that's what we're focused on doing is to help people think that way. So, how do we teach? How do we do this in school? Is AI something great for the kids to know? Yes, but how are they using it? Are
Yeah.
they using it just to get their homework done and write a new essay? That's the wrong thing in my humble opinion. So
100%.
so that's what we tried to fix. And the parents that understand what, having a tool that can be adapted to their kids' language just by them telling us what grade they're in, we'll change the language. So instead of this size word, we're using this size word for the younger kids. And the youngest kids who can't talk or can't type yet, and they can talk to us, talk to the
Right.
to. So, we know we're building them the right way. The question is, what is it going to take to have an intervention by the parents to say, you shouldn't use that these tools just give you an answer. You need to learn how to think through a problem, you know.
Yeah. It
But
sounds
who
like the
knows?
best collaborator. If we look at AI as a collaborator instead of
Yeah,
the all end all be all, that's probably the most
that's
appropriate way to approach it.
exactly right. Exactly right. And see, and even on the business side here, so we'll jump to the business side a little bit. What we managed to create only in the last couple of weeks is the equivalent of the mastermind groups. So if you haven't heard that term, it comes from a book written by Napoleon Hill. It's called Think and Grow Rich. And in that
Yes.
book, he was talking about the movement to try to take Ford Motors away from Henry Ford because Henry Ford didn't have a college education. I was reading and I couldn't believe what it was after. And finally, to make a long story short, he said, "Why do I really need that? I have 50 buttons sitting on my desk. And at the end of each one of those buttons is a person who can come in and answer my question." And so that's what we're trying to create now for a business. Imagine having the mind of a Steve Jobs or a Warren Buffett helping you grow your business. That
Right.
that that mastermind group that you put together, or Tony Robbins helping you to overcome, personal uh, self-imposed limitations. These are the things that I think will help us in the business world uh, tremendously. In the business world, they're losing senior people uh, just because of retirement, and out walks all that intellectual property that they created and they know. How do we keep it there? How do we pay that forward to the next generation of employees? And I think this is what we're going to be able to create next. So we just launched it. It's a terrific tool. The personas are some of the people that I've built digital twins for, which is a process, by the way, because you mentioned earlier, you said it doesn't even sound like them, and that's
Right.
correct. So what we know to do is to create it's kind of a white glove kind of a situation where we only take their works, like most of them have written books, so it's very easy to take the book. The questions we asked, was it ghost written or is it your work? If it's your work, if it's ghost written, then we'll ask you a series of questions to which you can answer. We'll take our questions out and just hear your answers because that's your pattern. If my pattern is entered in there, it's going to confuse the system. So we just want your pattern of thinking. Now, what the agentic AI agents can do is it has your brains, your persona, and when it goes out and looks for information, it brings it back based upon your critical thinking and the way you would screen information coming in. And it can answer questions you've never answered before because it knows how you would answer based upon the pattern of how you think.
Mm.
And these are just amazing tools to listen to. Uh,
Would you
yeah,
like to introduce us to yours?
well, yeah, I can. I absolutely can. Have you set up sharing for me? Let me look and see. I think you have. Yeah. So I'm going to. Oh, we got different choices here. I'm gonna says that oh just screen two. Here we go. So this is mine. Let me share it. So I made it. There's an opening part to it. If I wanted to play it, I just took a photograph and said, okay. Hi, I'm Joe DiDanto. For most of my life, I've been fascinated by one question. How do we help people think, feel, and create at their very best? Okay, so I'll stop it there. But now it's very conversational. So I'll open it. I've set it up so that you can come across into my speakers to ask it any question you want. And if you're ready to do that, I'll just kick it off.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
do it.
All right.
Hi, this is Joe. What do you want to talk about?
Hello, Joe. I'm here with Lisa Urbanski, and Lisa is going to ask you a couple of questions. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful. Lisa, I'm glad you're here. What's on your mind today?
I'm curious to know how you feel AI is going to change our future.
That's a question I love to explore, Lisa. Let's slow down for a second and look at what's really happening here. AI is already changing our future, not just by making things faster or more efficient, but by giving us new ways to solve problems we once thought were impossible. For example, AI is helping doctors find diseases earlier, scientists discover new medicines in record time, and even helping us cool our planet with smarter energy use and innovative materials. But here's the heart of it: AI is a mirror. It reflects our values, our choices, and our blind spots. If we use it with empathy and intention, it can help us heal, connect, and become more deeply human. If we ignore the ethical questions, it can also scale our mistakes and biases. So the real change isn't just about technology, it's about how we choose to lead, include, and care for each other as we build this future together. What part of that future excites or worries you most?
Wow, so that's super exciting. Um, yeah, I love that. So people can talk to you and you can essentially communicate with thousands of people all over the world if you want.
Exactly, Lisa. That's one of the most powerful shifts we're seeing. AI lets us break down barriers, distance, language, even time zones, so people can connect, learn, and share ideas in ways that were never possible before. I can have a conversation with someone in Arizona, another in India, and another in Brazil, all in the same afternoon. But what really matters is the quality of those conversations. My goal isn't just to answer questions, but to help people feel heard, understood, and inspired no matter where they are. If you could ask the world one question or share one message, what would it be?
Okay, so now I'm talking to the real Joe. So that's exciting. I could see how that
Okay,
could be really
ask that one.
valuable to everybody and anybody. It's like having an assistant that's you.
Yeah, and because I know how to curate it because it's just things that I've written about, it's going to answer like me, and it can answer questions that I haven't answered yet. Just knowing how my pattern of thinking is. So now imagine putting together that team of people like I was talking about, and let me see if I can't open that up. There's this group thing. So sorry, give me one half second. I had it all teed up nicely, and of course, I can't find it when I need it. Oops.
That's okay.
Okay, so this is the mastermind group I was telling you about. So it has a couple of people in here, and they won't speak until I say something. But you'll hear the difference in the personalities just when I have them introduce themselves. So, good morning, panel. We're here on the advisory show, and we're with Lisa Urbanski. And I'd like you to each introduce yourselves. Bob, Dana, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Bob Dana. I come at this as a lifelong learner and engineer who's more interested in how people think than in quick answers.
So, Bob is a physicist and also was a commander, commander of a naval ship, and he's also been in our world in human resources. Lacey, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Lacey Lowe. I focus on the future of work, how evidence, leadership, and systems shape whether people and organizations truly thrive.
Thank you, Lacey. And I'm part of this panel, so you don't need my introduction. But we have one surprise guest that I see in kind of like a ghost-like appearance. Mark, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm a fictional character inspired by Mark Twain's wit and skepticism, inclined to take a long view of human behavior. From that angle, progress often looks like the same old folly in a fresh coat.
All right, I'll end it here, but we can give it any topic we want it, and the panel will comment on it, listen to each other, and tell you how they feel about the other person's comments. So this is the notion of a mastermind group where we can put together the
Wow.
right minds. So hopefully that gives you a feel where things are going to go in a very near future. And
Wow, that is super exciting. You basically could have anybody you want at your dinner table.
yeah, that's guess who's coming to dinner tonight? Yes. I mean, think of the great minds that we could tap into there. There's some legal limitations of using a person's character and any voice, but imagine having Aristotle or Da Vinci to your house or Nelson Mandela. I mean, these are the
Right.
people that we can learn from, or maybe some of our past presidents.
Yeah.
Their opinion of things. So I think in the long run, once we get comfortable with it, we'll learn how we can use it to benefit ourselves from personal life, health, and so forth, to our business life. We're creating a new business, a new podcast. Who would you call in as advisors for that? I mean, we can create that kind of a sense.
Wow, that is so exciting. Um, so for anyone out there who is really excited but has no idea where to get started, what would be the first simple thing that you would tell them to do?
They can go to our website. It's a very short website name, esourceu for university.com. And there's an AI agent you can talk to and ask questions of, and it'll probably lead you to the legacy page. You can talk to me and my digital twin by going there, and you can experience it yourself and you can see all the things that we're starting to do. A lot of the projects are still, under wraps, but we're building things like tools for a whole hospital network that can deal with the burnout and stress that hospital workers experience. Nurses, 1 out of 2 nurses suffer from extreme burnout. Over
Yeah.
60% of the doctors suffer from extreme burnout. It's, they're losing staff and so forth. So how can they help those people get back to what they love to do, which was helping other people? So it's things like that. We're working with special ops and the military for readiness of the special teams that have to go into use. It's here to stay. It's going to be in everything that you use. Your GPS, that's AI in there. Uh, Even all the negative stuff that you're pushed is from an AI algorithm that certain social media sites use to push you the information they know you're going to click. And that can cause a big divide, as we've seen in the country over politics and you name it. But AI is in everything. There's a pair of glasses that'll be coming out soon where the microphone will be right here in between, and in the back of the things you'll be connected to ChatGPT where you can ask questions.
Wow.
The thermostats in your home, that the I can't say her name because she'll pop open here, but the tools like that name.
A
uh,
word, the A
yes,
name. Yeah.
the A name that it'll answer. So it's here. You just don't know it arrived. Autonomous vehicles. We have a company here in Phoenix area. I think it's Waymo, and we see the cars driving all over the place. No driver. It's a
Yeah.
taxi service, things like that. So it's here. It's part of our physical devices, and now it's part of our personal uh, use by understanding what I'm talking about today.
Yeah. Well, what important work you're doing. It sounds amazing. I'm just curious, what mindset shift do you think would help people stop fearing AI and start looking at it a little bit differently?
I think just learning about how to do prompts and then learning how to build your own agent and the controls you can put into those just changes everybody's perspective. Everybody walks out of the class and said, "Oh my gosh, this is terrific. I can't wait to do X, Y, and Z now." And they go back to their companies and they go do those things. And in their personal life, even Amazon's responding to it and saying you can only create 3 books a day. you know,
Wow, only 3 books a day? That
yeah.
still seems a little extreme to me.
Yeah, it does. I thought that was very funny, but that's how their business grew from, right? So, but anyways, I mean, it has a great impact on personal life. Like myself, I know how to control it, so I'm not worried about talking to my version of my doctor, who I have that can help me, because I want that answer at midnight. I want to know if I should be going into the hospital or what. Uh,
Right.
so so learning how to talk to it and learning how to create your first or second agents in class, I think it takes all the fear out of it because you can see what it can do. All these stories you hear about it emptied my bank accounts and it got me fired. You can't do that unless you physically hook it to your bank account and say, just pay any invoice that comes through, including all the ones from Nigeria, the
Right.
princes. Yeah, you certainly will empty it, but you have to make that connection. A human has to orchestrate that. It can't do it
Right.
on it.
Yeah, there's all these things I'm hearing about, like psychotic robots that that's going to happen, and that AI is going to start taking over the world. Those are some of the things that are coming out right now.
Yeah, it makes good reading, doesn't it?
It
So,
makes for good reading. Yeah, AI created those.
yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we're all learning together, but this is a new technology that I think is probably going to be more important than the computer, than the calculator, and even the automobile before that. I mean, this is something that's very, very powerful. So I'm I thank the original investors in all of this for thinking about it. Who knows? We may be able to solve global warming and all the other horrible problems that we face as a civilization.
Yeah, I agree. So remind us again where we can find more information about you.
Sure. It's at esourceu.com. And you can
Amazing. And do you have any last minute thoughts on the topic today?
I think what I wanted to do was kind of uh, you know ease everybody's minds at what's going on. Yes, there is going to be job loss, but it's more job transformation. There's so many new jobs coming in the AI world that don't sit back and wait for it to happen to you. Be proactive, learn it. I'm happy to teach you, if you'd like to come to my class, maybe send a note to Lisa or Stacy on the team, and I'll set aside a few class openings so you can come.
Amazing, amazing. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about switching from a fear-based mindset to an excited mindset, to what can this do for the world, not what is it going to limit us to, right? I think that's the major shift. A lot of people live with that fear-based attitude, but shifting to that excitement, it all comes from the same feeling.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for inviting me today. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, me too. It was so much fun. And to our audience, AI isn't here to replace your thinking, it's here to help you think better. Stay tuned for the next episode. Take care, everybody.